The Bengals are over 500, but they're looking for their first AFC North win of the season. We'll discuss the latest injury news and look ahead to a Monday night matchup against the Cleveland Browns. Plus, it's time to put a bow on Week 7's win over the Atlanta Falcons. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com, rocking the CBT Rivertown swag. More on Rivertown Inkery in just a second. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and buckle up. And tell a Bengals fan about us because, well, we're trying to bring you each and every day the best Bengals coverage here on YouTube. And let's dive in, starting with some injury updates, because obviously there are some key guys that were out last week against the Falcons. The Bengals trying to improve to 5-3 against the Browns in 6 days on Monday Night Football. So a lot to get to, a lot to discuss when it comes to this Browns matchup, and we have time for that. And I'll talk a little bit about it, but more so let's look at this Cincinnati Bengals team. First off, injury-wise, Trey Hendrickson, it sounds like he's going to be good to go against the Browns. We'll see. Suffered a stinger on Sunday against the Falcons, but the Bengals are optimistic about his chances of playing. And the same goes for Logan Wilson. And that was the kind of the vibe I got last week. He was doing a lot on the rehab field and moving that shoulder and catching passes, full speed and all of those things like I've described. And so I think they rested him against the Falcons just to make sure things would heal up properly and he would be good to go this week against the Browns. Obviously, you have an extra day with the game being on Monday Night Football, so both guys could benefit from that. We'll see. Bengals first practice on Thursday if Wilson is able to go, if Hendrickson's able to go. And then obviously we're monitoring guys like Jamar Chase, who said he's good after the game. But, that hip limited him a little bit last week, so the extra day could certainly help some of these other guys as well. As far as DJ Reader is concerned, because I think he's moving well, to me it just feels like it. And I was told this after in New York. I was still in New York when I was told that, one, likely to go on injured reserve, and he did. Two, seems like more of a post-bye thing than it does pre-bye. And even though he's looked pretty good on the rehab field, I just think, especially after what Zach Taylor said on Monday, where it doesn't seem likely that they're going to activate that 21-day window, to me, I'm not going to say you don't need him against the Panthers, but you're not going to activate him unless it's good to go and time to go and he's ready to play. And, so to me, give him that bye and bring him back for Pittsburgh in Week 11 after the Week 10 bye. So we'll see, but I don't anticipate DJ Reader being activated or that 21-day window even being activated, and I do anticipate him staying on injured reserve. And part of that is Jay Tufele and what he's been able to do at defensive tackle. I think that's helped them a lot. I mean, he's had a couple of back-to-back good performances and has played really well, and he'll get a chance to showcase his talents again this week against the Cleveland Browns. And overall, this Bengals team, I think they've turned a corner, and it feels like they've turned a corner. And you look at all the different metrics, and, defensively, they've been really, really good all season long, haven't allowed a second-half touchdown. You've heard all of that. But now you're starting to look at Burrow's stats and Chase's stats and the receiver stats. And it just, Chase is on pace to have more yards, catches, touchdowns than last year. Joe Burrow is top 5 in quarterback rating, top 2 in passing yards, top 3 in touchdown passes. Like, he's up there now with the Mahomes and Josh Allens of the world. And so it feels like this offense is about to get rolling. And obviously they've done it against shorthanded teams or teams that maybe you don't think are as good. And so that's the fun part when you do look ahead to a Halloween night matchup against the Browns. It's another test with a high-end edge rusher that really hurt the Bengals early in the season, going up against high-end edge rushers, whether it was Micah Parsons, who you can move all over, TJ Watt, and now you got a guy in Myles Garrett who can wreck a game. And so this is a really good test for the Bengals on the road. How is their communication going to be? How is this offensive line going to hold up? By the way, Collins, obviously, he got nicked up. He was limping in the locker room on Monday, but I think he's okay. I think this extra day especially is going to help a lot of these guys dealing with little injuries like that. But overall, the Bengals, it feels like they're one of the two best teams in this division. I think it's Baltimore and it's Cincinnati, right? And not necessarily in that order, but that's the way the standings are, even though they're tied at 4-3 because of the tiebreaker. You got to go show that and win a division game now. You lost to the Steelers. You lost to the Ravens. You can't go down 0-3 in the division. That's not what real contenders do. That's not what real division contenders do. And so that is something I will have my eye on. Obviously, we'll be there in Cleveland. And there's a lot of different elements to this game, storylines that we'll dive into. Right now, Denzel Ward's in concussion protocol. Will he get activated? Maybe by the time you see this, he is activated. That's certainly an interesting one. Probably not, because the Browns are off today, so I would imagine not. But you never know. And so a lot of things going into this game. But the Bengals, they viewed this 3-game stretch after the New Orleans game as hey, let's get each one of these. You feel really good going into the bye. They got the first one. Now they got to focus on the Cleveland Browns, a team that is going to be desperate for a win. Really, really desperate. That crowd is going to be wild at First Energy Stadium. And Halloween night, Bengals wearing white jerseys, black pants, orange stripes, orange socks. And Joe Burrow hasn't beat the Cleveland Browns. So there's a lot that goes into this. And that doesn't mean he hasn't played well. His first prime time game was against the Browns on Thursday Night Football, where he threw, I think it was 61 passes. He was 37 of 61 for 316 and 2 or 3 touchdowns, I think. I think I remember that line it's pretty close. I might be a little off on that, but you remember that game. Just a wild game where Burrow did everything he could to keep the Bengals in it, and they just didn't have the talent to compete with that Browns team back then in 2020. They have the talent now, so they need to go out and show it. Speaking of talent, Doug and his team at RivertownInkery.com are talent. Look at this. I mean, I love this. I've worn it in recent videos, worn it on game day, little Nike polo with the boom. Look at that. Look at that little Cincinnati Bengals talk swag. Get to RivertownInkery.com right now and check out all of the gear they have, the Cincinnati merchandise, the awesome rocks glasses, where if you're a little bourbon drinker, you could do that. Maybe you want a pint glass that says Cincy on it. Maybe you want some Bearcats gear to represent the University of Cincinnati. They have it all at Rivertown Inkery. So don't delay. Go there now, RivertownInkery.com. It's a big week. Tuesday's an off day for the Bengals. That doesn't mean we're off, and we're going to have plenty for you. Tuesday night, Bengals on the Brain with Joe Goodberry starting at 8. Elise Jesse's going to have some awesome interviews this week on the OT on Thursday night at 8. So huge week, a lot going on, and we have you covered as always. And, of course, we're going to be in Cleveland on Halloween night covering the game in Cleveland at First Energy Stadium. So for Andrew Fox-Miller, our channel coordinator, I'm James Rapien. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and thank you for watching CBT, Cincinnati Bengals Talk.